I'm pleased to be joined by Birmingham Stallions quarterback Adrian Martinez. Adrian, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Appreciate you having me.
Nah, man, it's my pleasure to have you on the show. I want to start with this, dog. You are the only player in the UFL to pass for 300 yards in a game. You're also the only player pass for 350. You're also the only quarterback to rush for 150. What is it about playing for the Birmingham Stallions that has reminded everybody how you went for 234 passing 148 in a beatdown of my Oklahoma Sooners?
Yeah, well, I really give a lot of credit to Skip, our head coach, and obviously the team around. I mean, we have a lot of dynamic players, guys who can make plays. And when you have that in place, I think it gives me, the quarterback, a lot of confidence.
You remind me of that dude that I was watching tape of at Clovis West all of a sudden, right? It's that guy that we are just afraid of, what he's going to do with his arm, what he's going to do with his legs. And I thought you got to showcase that against Memphis when they chose to spy you with a corner, which, okay, that's one way of going about it. But when you got those playmakers out there, how do you make these decisions? How do you assess what the defense is giving you? And what are those guys on the sidelines contributing to help with that?
Yeah, well, I think you hit on it. And it's that we want to take what the defense has given us. So if they want to spy a robber down, I mean, and they want to press our guys who we feel really good about, like Dion and like Kevin, Jace, like I said, a lot of playmakers, and let's make it happen through the air. You know, they want to try and take away my running ability. We can do it through the air, and I think we've been able to prove that. And then on the flip side, when we played Houston, they wanted to sit back in coverage. They wanted to try and take away the pass game. And so there's a lot of rushing lanes, and that's the result of that. And I think that's part of what makes this offense so dynamic is we're not pigeonholed into one way of getting it done. We just want to win, we want to produce, and we'll find a way to do it.
So you mentioned a dude who went to Clemson, a dude who went to Notre Dame, a dude that was an All-American at A&M. The talent on that roster is always eye-popping to me, and I give a lot of credit to Coach Holtz and Zach Potter. But when you look at the guys on that team and you go, wow, that's all conference, that's All-American, that dude's got a national championship. What do you think?
Yeah, well, that was part of the reason why I chose to come here. Part of the reason why I wanted to be a Stallion is because Skip's done it before. And I mean, something he prides himself on, as well as Zach Potter, our GM, is getting guys to the NFL, which is where we all want to be. And so playing with guys with that similar type mindset, everyone's hungry in here. Everyone's had success, but ultimately not where they want to be. And I think the way we've been able to build chemistry through that is part of why we're so successful.
Do you think you put enough on tape to earn a spot on a 53-man roster in the NFL?
Not yet. Not yet. You know, I am far from complacent with where we are, and I know this team feels the same way. We're 6-0 right now, but we have a couple big tests coming up, including this week. We play the Battlehawks, get them at home, and there's a lot left to be accomplished. And I think for me personally, there's still some things I really need to prove.
One of the things you mentioned about why you chose to come to Birmingham is the talent around them. But I also have to mention this winning pedigree. We are a week away from this team having not lost a game in a calendar year. Now, y'all got a big one against St. Louis, and I understand that. But knowing what the pedigree of this football team has been over the last 3 years, and then you joining up at this point, what do you think separates the Birmingham Stallions as what I think of as the first dynasty of spring football?
Yeah, well, we have a 1-0 mentality, and we understand the history behind this team, and there's been some carryover. I'd say it's probably 50% from each year, you know, guys who played on the team the previous year. And despite that, we have a 1-0 mentality, and that's what's led us to success. We don't get too far ahead. We don't look too far in the past. It's about the right now. It's about what can we prove right now? What can we do to win this game today, this week? And I really credit, again, to our coaching staff. It's Coach Montgomery. It's Coach Jones. It's Coach Skip. The guys on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we share that mindset. And again, I mean, I love being around people who are hungry to prove something, hungry to get better, so that they continue to strive to be their best.
We mentioned the roster and the talent, and you made multiple mentions to the coaching staff. And I'm thinking about some of the guys you got there, right? Not just Coach Montgomery and Coach Holtz and Coach Jones, but also John Chavis on that defense. I wonder, though, I want to get to the offense. I get to see you on the sideline having conversations with Matt Corral, with J. Mar Smith, with Coach Holtz. But you've told me that Philip Montgomery is the guy in the headset, and I've got history. He was the head coach at the University of Tulsa, had a great run at Baylor as well. What has he helped contribute to this offense and maybe even to your game?
Definitely. Well, Coach Montgomery is something, I've said this about Skip, but I'll say it about him as well. He's very consistent. You know what you're going to get out of him day in and day out. He's going to show up. He's going to put in the work. And I think he does some great tape breakdown. I think we do a great job of scouting our opponents, and Coach Montgomery has a lot to do with that. And then, yeah, he's the guy in the booth. He's the eye in the sky during the game. He's the guy giving us feedback and giving Coach Holtz feedback. And obviously he does a great job with the running backs we have, with our tight ends. Those are the primary positions he oversees.
One of the things that has always impressed me about you, Adrian, is you have a very mature sense of the position that you play and the role that you play inside of a football team. I'm asking now, knowing that you were sharing the starting job with a guy that was pretty damn good at Ole Miss himself, was a third-round draft pick in the NFL draft, I wonder, how did you navigate just being able to be a good teammate, but also when it was your time to go, to do the best you can, and then when you had to sit down, follow Matt once again?
It's definitely tough. I mean, it's not an easy thing. And as I'm sure you know, I've been through a variety of different quarterback battles and stints in my career. Even last year at Kansas State, I had to beat out Will Howard. And I would say that was a great lesson learned, because we were able to support each other during different parts of that season. And so I kind of looked at this situation as something similar to that. Like, hey, we both want to get to the NFL. We both want to win, be successful, and we just need to control what we can. Let's get this team better. Let's focus on winning games. And what's meant for me is meant for me. And that goes back to my faith. And what's meant for Matt or for anybody else, that's what's meant for them. That's God's plan. There's bigger things going on than football. And so really, I'd say leaning back on my faith allowed me to just, hey, stay in my lane. Let's continue to lead this team, continue to get better. And what's meant for me will be for me.
I'm curious, knowing that you were part of a Nebraska team that was 3-9, but also had like 9 straight single-digit losses, going to a place like Kansas State where you're knocking off an undefeated Texas Christian and you're winning a Big 12 championship. How does the Birmingham Stallions 6-0 run fit into your story arc?
It's tough. I say this a lot. I feel like now, for me, I don't want to get caught up in, reflection. I feel like now is not the time for reflection for me. Now is the time for action. And so right now I'm loving being on this team. I'm loving being 6-0. But like I said before, our 1-0 mentality is how we got here. And that's how we're going to continue to have success. And so for me, I mean, it's been great. It's been great learning from these guys. Everyone has a reason for why they're here. And so from a first-round draft pick to an undrafted guy to a guy who's in the league for 5 years, I mean, everyone has a crazy story. And so there's a lot to learn from this individual experience.
Yeah, man. I mean, DeMarcus Gates he got married in March. You know what I'm saying? Like a couple of years ago, I'm watching that dude, break in with the NFL. But one of the other things that I wanted to touch on is you mentioned the talent on the coaching staff. We talked a bit about it, but it dawned on me that you have now played for Skip Holtz, who I'm going to give the national championship to in 1993. I'm also going to talk about Scott Frost and what he was able to do. And then Chris Kleiman, who has been nothing but a winner, right, since he became a head coach. What, if anything, do you think is the same about each one of those guys that you played for that helped make them great?
I would say a passion for the game. Passion for the game that doesn't take much to see. They love ball. They love football. They love being on the practice field on a Tuesday in March. It feels the same then as it does on game day. And I think that just goes to show you how much football matters to them and the impact it's had on their lives and the impact they want to have on the team, the players. I mean, we're all going through this journey, and it's an amazing game, how it can affect people differently that way.
Do you like that Coach Holtz doesn't yell at anybody? And it also leads with, I'm not yelling at you. This is something I saw. What did you see?
I do, because I think he's able to keep guys accountable. And you don't have to yell to keep guys accountable. If you're consistent and if the message you're preaching is the same, you can't argue with him. You know where he stands. And I think our guys appreciate that. And really, we're all pros here. I mean, yeah, we have some younger guys. I mean, we're all pros. We've all had some sort of experience in the NFL one way or another. And we know what we're here to do. So Skip, he should never have to yell at us, because we know if we're not getting our job done, we know, hey, this is what you need to do, this and that. All right, let's go do it. Let's go do it. We don't need to sit here and yell about it. Let's go do it. And I think he does a great job with that.
What are you trying to improve upon in the second half of the season?
For me, really, I want to continue to progress as a passer. I feel like I've been able to show that I'm consistently accurate, whether that's deep ball or short game. And really, this is my first year in this offense, in Skip's offense. I'm just continuing to learn what he likes, why he's calling certain plays, what he's looking for in terms of reads and keys. And I feel like that's why us as an offense, we've been able to improve, is because we're all just getting a better understanding of what exactly is the standard. What should we be doing versus this look or versus this coverage or this pressure? And so for me, it's just continuing to grow more comfortable in this offense and find a way to win. That's really all that matters.
Adrian Martinez, quarterback for the Birmingham Stallions, big game against the St. Louis Battlehawks this weekend. Thank you so much for taking time to join us here on the #1 college football show.
RJ, thank you.
If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.